Hey guys, how are you? How y'all doing today? Hello. Hey, good. Someone's like, hey, investors. Hello, hello. Oh, this is so good. I'm glad I see some people from Sacramento and everywhere. Yes, Tanya, let's make that money. Yes. Okay, y'all, tell me one thing that you've been afraid of when or tell me one thing you're looking forward to in this session. When we talk about how to get started in the stock market, what's one thing that you've been wanting to hear about? Tell me in the chat, then we can make sure that this is tailored towards you. And I see people, hey, Texas in here. I see Houston, El Paso, New Orleans coming strong. Oh my gosh. So, Jamie, I've been watching the show, The Originals, and I know I'm probably super late. They're on like season 5, and I'm on season 1, but it's based out of New Orleans. So now I think there's vampires and, oh, but I love it. The show is so good. Okay, good. So, Crystal says reading charts. Fear of losing too much money. Yeah, Megan, that's true. Okay, we can talk about that. Okay, Sandra says that it feels right and real. Okay, entry and exit points. That one we'll probably talk about more in next week's webinar on how to make $1,000 a day. How to get started. Okay, good. Woo, these things are coming so fast. Keep them coming. Okay, Ashley says which stocks to pick. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to give you some ideas this time, and next time in the how to make $1,000 a day, we'll talk about that even more. Hey, DMV. All right. Yep. Get rid of the emotions. Good stuff, Peter. How do you do that? Alexa says getting started. Stop losses. Okay, Leah, that one's going to be in next one too. So my goal here is tonight I want to talk to all of the people who haven't started investing yet. So we're talking about how to get started in the stock market. And then next Thursday, we'll go one step higher and talk about, okay, now that I got my feet in the door, how do I start making $1,000 a day like Terry and her students are doing? And that's a little bit more advanced. So I think you're going to get a lot out of today. You're going to learn a lot. And then I would say come this week and next week so you can learn as much as possible. Good. Okay, Helen says risk management. Okay, Frank says calculated risk. Good. Okay. How to pick stocks for the long time. Okay, now Shannon, I'll tell you the truth. I'm not an expert on that. I'm an active investor. So that means I'm trading for income. How do you get money right now? So instead of getting a side hustle, instead of driving an Uber, instead of working the night shift at FedEx, how do you use stocks to get that money? And then how do you use it to pay for things that are important? So like, how do you pay off your debt? How do you pay for your student? You're like, maybe you have a son or daughter. How do you pay for their tuition at school? How do you pay for the house that you've been dreaming about with stocks? So that's where that's my expertise and sweet spot. Good. Okay, good. Shannon's like, I'm okay with that too. Good stuff. Oh, thank you, Keisha. Keisha says, you look happy. Good for you. Thank you, girl. Makeup is deceiving. No, I'm just kidding. I'm so sleepy. All right. Good stuff. Megan say that's my goal. Awesome. Well, it looks like we have quite a few people here. So let's get started. And I will tell you the truth. I didn't make some big pitch for tonight. I probably should have. My team probably is going to be mad at me. But today I just really want to teach. I just want to teach you some things about how to get started. And that's my goal tonight. And that's the goal. What can we do to make sure that you're ready by the time you come into the door at Trade and Travel? So when you come to Trade and Travel, which is my course, and I'll tell you guys a little bit more about it, but when you come to Trade and Travel, we're the first thing you do is open a brokerage account, and then you start learning about how to trade. So that's the how do you pick the right company? How do you protect your risk? How do you start reading charts? And then you're getting right in there with trading. But what I realized is that there is this foundation that would be helpful even before the course. I had one student that was like, Terry, what is a watch list? And I was like, oh, that would be helpful to know. What is the Dow Jones? What is the S&P? Like some of those like basic terms would be helpful even before you start the course. So my goal today is I'm going to prep you on some things that'll make you even more ready for taking trade and travel. And the first thing, well, let me just jump in. Okay, good. Keisha's like, yes, Terry, thanks. That'd be good to know. So is Kaylin. Kaylin's like, yes, yes, yes. Okay, good. You're in the right place. So truly, my goal tonight is first, and some of these steps are on my Instagram. So at Terry Gioma, we put out a post today, and it was the 3 steps to get started. And I'll just tell them to you up front, and then we're going to go into them more in depth. But the first one is you have to open a brokerage account to be ready to go. Then the second one is that you have to pick what stock to invest in. So today I'm going to show you how do you pick the stocks that cover the whole index, like follow the Dow or follow the S&P. And I'm going to show you how to pick stocks that follow a sector. So maybe you want to follow healthcare or follow, I don't know, technology. How do you pick those? And then I'll actually show you how to place a trade. Now, yeah. We'll just actually hopefully we'll have time. If not, then we'll figure it out. But my goal is the last piece of it is you have to place the trade, which means you have to actually go into the brokerage account, buy one, and then sell it to get your money out. Like that's how you make money as a trader. So it's after the market has closed. So we probably won't be able to fully place it, but I can show you in the sim like how I would do it, and hopefully that'll take some of your nerves away. So you guys with me? Y'all with me for today? I'm gonna need to see some yeses in the chat. I told y'all I'm sleepy, so y'all got to be with me. And we got to do this together. All right. So let me put my screen up, and then good. Okay, good. I'm seeing Jennifer said yes. I'm seeing the yeses come through. Let's go. Okay, good. Somebody told me, they were like, Terry, so you've made enough money now. Everything you do is for charity, huh? I'm like, I wouldn't say it was for charity, but everything I do now is a choice. I choose to serve. I choose to teach. So I want you guys to know, like, I'm here, but y'all got to give me energy back so that I don't fall asleep, okay? Because we've been going. All right, here we go. So let me share my screen. Or actually, first, let me open TradeStation because it takes a minute. That way, by the time we get to that part of the presentation, it'll already be up and going. And then I'll share my screen. Y'all, right now, tag a friend, tell them come on, send a quick text message, get your notes out. Let's just be ready to go once we got it up and going. All right. So you guys should see my screen. And let's make sure that we have up Canva, which I thought I had up before, but it doesn't look like it. In case anybody does presentations, this one I did in Canva has nothing to do with trading, but you can see the inside and kind of see what I've been working on. Oh, and that was the Black Enterprise article that you guys saw. All right, let's go. So it's going to take it a little second to come up, but this should be good. And y'all know what? I'm going to be doing so much in and out on this one. I almost want to just leave it like this. Usually I would do like full presentation mode, but I'm going to leave it like this so that we can like move around and I can show you some things like real teacher style, if that's okay with you. So instead of us just doing presentation, I'm going to keep it like this. And you guys can still see everything. Hopefully you can see the how to start investing for the ultra novice, never done it before beginner. Yes, you can see it. Okay, good. Told y'all got to be with me. Be ready to laugh. Let's go. Give energy. Yes. And then if you are also like me and don't like a lot of like distractions, feel free to close your chat down. You're good. Stick with your own notes. Don't, pay attention, stay focused. Tell the kids go in the other room and then do stay till the end because I do think you're going to learn quite a bit of good stuff here. So for those that don't know me, I'm Terry Gioma, and I literally trade and travel. Like that's what I do. I'm a day and swing trader. I trade most days. Some days I take a break, but lately I've been trading for my dream home. So I've been trading every day. And I travel. I love to travel the world, and I've been all over the place. I've been to Korea and Thailand. That's actually South Korea and Thailand is where I actually started up teaching. Thailand was my first class, and then Vietnam was my second class, teaching people about the stock market. And then I came home and they had seen it on Instagram and they were like, "Oh, Terry, we need you to teach us too." So I had no idea that I would be even in a field where I'd be teaching people how to trade, but that's what I was doing to afford my travels. If I wanted to do a trip to Greece, I knew that it was $3,500. So I needed to make $300 a day for about 10, 12 days, and I could afford my trip. And that's literally the thinking that I had. How do I pay for my bills with trading so that I could kind of not have a boss, live a decent life? And I'm not the type that's like, oh, I want a Lamborghini and 50 million. Well, I do kind of want $50 million, but when I was trading or when I'm trading, that's not the goal for me. It's like, how do I make enough to just live a decent life? And for you, it might be, and actually tell me in the chat what your inspiration is. What is your kind of goal for the money? Is it, hey, Terry, really, I just need an extra $300 a month to pay for my groceries. Or I have a cousin, he was paying for his car note and all he needed was like $243 a month to have that done. And that's what he would trade for it. Or maybe you're somebody like, you know what, Terry, if I just had an extra $100 a week, that's $400 a month. That's something like fun that I could do for me. Like, what are your personal goals around trading? And I'm actually click over because I want to see what you say. To travel, to retire my husband. Good stuff. I retired my mom. To pay mortgage. Be debt free. Good. Freedom. Quit my job. Awesome. Like literally, most of those things are things that I've done with trading. Like I quit my job as an assistant principal at an elementary school. The kids were great, but the parents and the admin were crazy. Some of the parents were the sweetest. Y'all, I'm really just playing. But the bosses, not so much. They were crazy for real. For real. Then I retired my mom. Her yearly salary is like $35,000 a year. And I made a trade in one day that was like 5 years of her salary and was able to retire her. I've paid off my student loans with trading. So, we digress. Y'all don't want to hear about me. You want to hear about you, but that's who I am. That's who you're listening to right now as your teacher. And I've just found that like, I'm really blessed at being a really good teacher and I'm blessed at being a really good trader. And I can do both. Some people are like, where do you make your money? Both. Like the Lord has really blessed me in 2 things. And so for you guys today, I want you to focus on this. Like as you're listening to me, if you have any fears about trading or any like myths or preconceived notions as you come into this class, like take a minute and just like, whew, shake it off. What's the song? Shake it off. Shake it off. I don't know the rest of the words, but that is a song. Anyway, I want you to do that. And the thing is, like, it's better to say oops than to say what if. And there's so many of us that are always stuck in the I should do that. I will do that. When it comes around, I'll do that. But investing is something that like you should start. And it's better for you to have tried it than to not have tried it at all. So today we're once again talking about the 4 steps that you'll need to get started as an investor with me. That's my Instagram, Terry Gioma. Tag a bestie. Like I said, take a screenshot, let them know you in here, you learning, you investing in yourself. We have 2 Instagram pages, my personal one, Terry Gioma, and then the trade and travel one. Tag us. And then here's the things we're going to cover. And I know somebody's like, Terry, you just said that. I did, but y'all know people be running late. So I have to repeat it again for those people that just got on the call. Welcome. So these are the things we're going to cover: how to open a brokerage account, pick a stock, and then place the trade. So let's first start about the opening the brokerage account. So here's the thing. I get this question all the time, and I will take a minute to answer your questions about the brokerage account, and each part will take a second to answer questions. But one of the biggest questions I get is like, Terry, should I use Robinhood, Webull, Interactive Brokers, TD Ameritrade, Fidelity, TradeStation? How do I know which broker to choose? Because literally, that's the first step. And for those that are wondering, like, what is a brokerage account? A brokerage account is just a bank account. It's a bank account where you're able to trade stocks. And the coolest thing about it is that when you open your brokerage account, like you'll do the paperwork just like a bank account, but then also they're going to ask you, do you want, and this is extra, we'll talk about this more actually next week's webinar, the how to make $1,000 a day one. But when you open this brokerage account, they'll ask you, do you want it to be like a regular cash account or a margin account? I want you guys to select margin. We're not going to go deep into that today because this is for the ultra novice, super beginners. You got this. You're about to start trading investors. But just know next week we'll cover that. But in the brokerage account, these are the things you're going to look for. You want to find one of the brokers who has good customer service. I will tell you the truth. I've tried most of the ones out there, and one of the worst pet peeves is when something is going wrong and you call your broker and they don't answer the phone. Like, that is like, oh my gosh. Like, I had a account with E-Trade. They did that to me one time. I called, nobody could answer. They kept passing me off from person to person. I moved all my money that day to another broker. So one, you're going to be looking for a broker with good customer service. The next thing is you want really fast entry times. This is where Robinhood, even I don't have a lot of experience with Webull, I'll tell you guys the truth, but this is where Robinhood and even Fidelity sometimes can fall or falter because their entry times has like a slight delay, which is where they make their money. So if you place an order to buy at $10 and you did like a market order, then they will wait like 2 or 3 seconds to place the order. So you might end up getting it at $10.03, $10.03, which doesn't sound like a lot, but they actually make the difference on that 3 cents. And that's how they're making their money. Other brokers, though, they make money in different ways. So they're actually going to try to get you a better price. So if I put in at TradeStation, that's my broker, if I put in an order at $10, I might get $9.98. And I've actually seen that literally happen between me and one of my students. I place a trade and they place the same trade, same time, but I get a better price. So that's something too that you'll be looking for in your broker. Who is a more robust broker known for working with traders, because they're probably going to give you a better price. Another thing that you're looking for is advanced order types. And advanced order types, what does that mean, Terry? So when I am trading, and like I said, in a little bit, we're going to place a trade. So I'll actually show you this as well in TradeStation. But in a more advanced broker, you can have 2 exits at a time. Now, why would you need 2 exits? So some of you guys, how many of you all work? You have a full-time job, or you might not be able to look at the market every day. Well, an exit is going to allow you to just have the order sitting in the computer so that the trade will operate on its own. If it goes up to wherever you want to exit the trade, you'll have an order sitting there. And if it starts going down while you're at work and you can't monitor it, you can have an order sitting there. Only certain brokers will let you have 2 exits. Those are called exit orders, 2 exit orders at a time. an example of this is I use Bank of America, so I opened up a Merrill Lynch account because Merrill Lynch is attached to Bank of America. And I do think that's a good idea for some of my beginners that have a Bank of America account. Ask them, you can go to the bank and say, hey, I also want to open an account to trade. They'll open it with Merrill Lynch. Only thing is that Merrill Lynch only lets you have one exit. So I put in a trade one time. I think I was investing in probably Apple or Chipotle at the time. And I wanted to be able to put in my 2 exits because that's what I do at TradeStation. But they only let me pick one. So I had to choose. Am I going to protect myself from losing if it comes down? Or am I going to get out when it gets to where, I've made my goal for the day? And you don't want to have that choice. Like, you want to be able to have both sitting in the computer at one time. So that's another thing that we're looking for in a brokerage account. Final things are, you want to have good customer service. Let me see, do I have that here? You want to have good customer service. You want to have good charting technology. So just write those down. And as you're looking at your broker, whether that's TD Ameritrade, Interactive Brokers, whatever it is, just check and make sure that it fits all the bills. As you see here, one of the things that I like about TradeStation, and I don't even get money from them. So, so y'all can pick whatever broker you want. Key is, first step is you got to open a brokerage account and fund it. But one of the things I do like about them is, they also do margin. So what is margin? I told you I'd cover it more next week, but margin is just when the bank lets you use some of their buying power in addition to your cash. Now, this is like a line of credit. If you've ever bought a house and your house had equity, sometimes they'll give you a line of credit and they'll say, you know what, if you need to do a renovation, you can use this money. Or if you want to use it for whatever, you can use this money. It's here, but you don't have to use it. If you use it, you pay an interest on it. If you don't, then you don't have to pay anything. Actually, brokerage accounts will do the same thing. And it depends which brokerage account to see what the margin is. So like Merrill Lynch, they give you 2 times your cash amount for their margin. TradeStation will give you 4 times your cash amount. So if you have $2,000, you can place a trade up to $8,000. You just have to make sure you don't use that money for too long. The next day, they'll ask you to sell off some of it because it's not your money. But if you see like a really great opportunity, you can take it because the money is there. And then they waive fees, but a lot of brokerage accounts have waived fees, and I want to show you that. So I told you we're going to be flipping around to some different things. Real quick, let me look at how you guys are doing. Are y'all still with me? Okay, so Kamoy says, hey, Kamoy, how you doing? Says, how do they charge interest? I'll tell you about that. Denise says, I'm in London. I know TradeStation also operates in the UK, so that's fine. Yes, LaDonna says, can you trade inside of an IRA? Yes, you can. And you can also move your investment. So some people may say, well, I have some stocks already at Fidelity. Do I have to sell those stocks before I move them to a different brokerage? Most brokers will transfer the whole portfolio. So if you want to keep your Amazon stock or keep your Tesla stock, they can move that whole thing over to a new account. So do know that. And then here, let me just, today, remember I told you I want to make sure that I'm really getting some of those nerves out. So how would you open an account? So I told y'all I use TradeStation, so I'm going to just show you from here. But like you'd go to tradestation.com, you could, and then press open an account. Of course it wouldn't work the day I'm trying to show y'all. See? Problems. Come on now. Get it together. Actually, let me actually put it in because I've been having that sitting there a second. Maybe that's it. Oh, okay. It says there might be too much traffic. Oh, it sees that there's too many people. Ooh, my bad. I didn't know I couldn't talk on a webinar and show y'all stuff. My bad. No. But here, I do want to show you all something that Corey, who is our broker, showed me. And here, I'll close this down so y'all just see this. But at TradeStation, and I'll actually put this link in the chat, one of the benefits of being in the trade and travel program is that we have a direct partner at TradeStation for when we have questions. So I'm going to actually give you guys that same access. His name is Corey Andrews. And again, like I send him so many people. If he doesn't respond right away, just give him grace. And here's his email. He has told me, like, instead of calling, email him because he gets so many people reaching out to him. But I'm going to put this link here in the chat. And then what it does is it allows you to get free stock trades, which most places have free stock trades, and then 60 cents per contract with options. And then your software and real data are also free. So that's like $100 a month savings. And that's something that usually just my students get. But because you're here on this webinar, I'm going to pass it to you too. So let me put this link in the chat and then y'all can copy it. But if you decide to open an account with TradeStation, just use this one so that you can get those benefits from my students. All right. Here, let me come into webinar jam. I'm going to stop sharing for a second so I can put this into the comments. There you go. Oh, you're welcome, Kim. Kim says thank you. Oh, and Dominique says thank you. Oh, Effie says slow down. Effie, you know what? There will be a replay of this, and you'll get a replay emailed to you afterwards, so you don't have to worry. But do y'all see that there? Let me see if I can pin it. Broadcast comment to the room. I've never done that before, but there you go. So you guys can just copy that link if you want to open an account, and then that'll make sure you get the same discounts as my students. I will say, like, we used to get also like the options trades a little cheaper, but they stopped that deal, unfortunately. But at least you'll get your data fees waived, which, like I said, is an extra savings of about $100 a month. So hopefully that will help. And then, okay, good question. So Sonia just says, Terry, can you move from a cash account to a margin account? And the answer is actually they'll require you to open another account. It's kind of the same as a checking account versus a savings. They'll just say, hey, fill the paperwork out again, and this time click savings. So they'll do the same with this one. They'll say, hey, fill the paperwork out again, and this time check margin. Okay. If you're having a hard time, if you guys have any kind of issues, let me also put my team email address in here, hello@itradeandtravel.com. hello@itradeandtravel.com. If anything's come up where you're like, oh man, I can't get the link or something happened, just email us, and we can take care of you in the next couple of days. You're welcome, Shirley, no problem. But that's a good link. So first step, open a brokerage account. Another cool thing about TradeStation is if you fund it with $500, then you're able to trade in a simulator, which we're going to be using in just a minute so that I can show you how to place a trade. And actually, let me go ahead and log into that while we are here. I see someone says that I'm freezing. If I am, at the top, press refresh, and you should be able to see me. You guys good? Okay. And then for Kaysen, he says, okay, good. Kaysen says, what asset accounts have you chosen to trade? I trade stocks and options. When you're opening the account, you can go ahead and select all the things, though. It'll say, do you want stocks, equities, options, equities, which is stocks, options, or futures? Check them all. It doesn't hurt to have more capability up front than less. So just check it all. And also another key is when they ask you how much experience you have, you can include if someone else has been investing on your behalf. So if you were in a 401k and someone was investing for you, or if you had like a different brokerage account, but you weren't investing it yourself, you can still count that though in your years of experience. Okay. So that'll help. And what that does is it'll help for down the road when you're applying to trade options. They want to know, they base your options access on how long you've been trading. So that way it'll help you later to have a higher level of access. Somebody says, is Wells Fargo good brokerage account? I haven't used them before, so I just can't speak to it. And then Susan says, great question. If can you use TradeStation if you're not in trade and travel? And yes, you can. That's why I went ahead and put the link here. And my goal is, like I said, everything I'm teaching you now will just help you for when you do come into trade and travel, you'll be already ready to go. Like my trade and travel students, when they first get set up, they have to open an account, but you guys will already have one open. So you'll be, 2 steps ahead. All right. So now let's keep going to the next step. Okay. All right. So the next step is picking a company. Now, today's lesson, we're talking to y'all can say it with me, the super novice, ultra beginner. I'm about to be a trader for life investor. I change that every time, so you probably couldn't have typed it. But but the truth is, like, we're talking to the novices today, and next week we'll talk to a little bit more advanced, but still novices. So if you are just now opening your account and you came to me and you said, Terry, I'm a little scared, but I want to get started. And, I want to take your class, but I'm just like, how do I get started? I would say, well, the first thing is maybe consider investing in an index fund that follows the market or an ETF that follows a sector. Okay. And so, Terry, what are those things? So an ETF is just a bucket of stocks, but it trades like one stock. So if we do an ETF of an index, so an ETF of the Dow Jones has 30 stocks in it. And the ETF would follow those same 30 stocks, but you just invest in one company to follow them all. Does that make sense? So you're investing in a group of companies, but they're all bucketed together into one. That's the ETF. And it's called an exchange traded fund. All right. Some of the most popular are an index fund, which follows, like I said, the overall indexes, and then sector ETFs. So the indexes, let's actually check those out for those that don't know. So the first index that many people look at is the Dow Jones. And what often investors, even advanced investors, don't realize is the Dow Jones, it literally just covers the top 30 companies in the US. So I'm actually going to give you a second to look at these. These are the companies that are in the Dow Jones. So you got American Express, Apple, Boeing, Chevron, Goldman Sachs, Home Depot, Johnson & Johnson. I don't know if anybody's trying to take the vaccine. They put a pause on it. I'm being facetious. You got JP Morgan Chase. So it's a mix of everything. You got Nike in here, Procter & Gamble, Salesforce, United Health. So you got a little tech, a little banking, a little food. I think McDonald's is here. Yep. Little food, little communications with Verizon. So you got a little bit of everything in the Dow Jones. That's why when we look at the Dow, we can say, okay, this is how the overall market is doing because we're looking at the top companies over a sector, right? I mean, over the whole economy. You have Visa in here, Walgreens, Walmart. And this Dow company, please, if you think this is a Dow, the company, not Dow Jones. So I don't want you guys to get confused and put in the ticker symbol DOW, thinking that you're investing in the overall Dow, because that's not true. This is a company. The way to invest in all 30 of these companies is actually an ETF, and there's a couple different ones, but there's actually an ETF called DIA. So I'll come right here. The ticker symbol would be DIA. That's a popular one that follows the Dow Jones. Now, I should have done a disclaimer, but disclaimer tonight, everything I'm saying tonight is for educational purposes only. I'm not telling you what to do, but I just want to give you guys these things because, like, a lot of us, we never learned this in school. So we didn't know we could invest in something that follows the whole Dow Jones. Can you just imagine, like, think back to last year, March of 2020, the whole market went down, and then all of a sudden the whole market starts rising back up to new highs. Well, what if you could have just invested in the whole thing? You didn't have to pick a company, you didn't have to work too hard. You just said, you know what? The whole market is rising. I'm going to invest in the whole thing. You could have invested in this ticker symbol DIA. All right. Another one is the SPY. And let me also give you guys, I found out about this one recently, but there's another website too that also looks at ETFs, and it's etfdb.com. So you guys can write that one down. And we'll come back to this one in a second, etfdb.com. And then where I was just a second ago with the Dow Jones, this is the CNBC app. So this is cnbc.com/Dow-30. And that'll tell you the 30 stocks that are in the Dow. It'll also tell you the stocks that are in the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ are mostly technology companies. So if you wanted to look and say, okay, I want to invest in more technology companies, the ones that are usually tech are falling in the NASDAQ. And so you see here some popular ones are like Adobe and Advanced Micro Devices, Amgen, Amazon, Apple, all those are in the NASDAQ. Okay. What you might not have thought about was like Activision Blizzard. How many of you guys do gaming? Activision is in here. I bet there's some others. Yep, Electronic Arts is in here for those gamers out there. They're in the NASDAQ. So if you are somebody that's like, I like gaming, I'm interested in investing in technology, then maybe you do the NASDAQ. The ticker symbol for that one that's really popular is QQQ. And I know I skipped S&P, I'll come back to it. But the QQQ follows the NASDAQ. And then there's also the S&P 500. It covers the top 500 companies. Remember, the Dow was just the top 30. The S&P is the top 500 companies in the U.S. And that one, a popular ETF to follow is SPY. Often, I'll tell you the truth, often the S&P 500 and the Dow, they tend to move together. But one secret I will give you is you can only trade indexes outside of using ETFs. You can trade them in options. The Dow usually moves a little faster than the S&P. So if you are trading these, I want just to give you a tip. If you're trading the S&P 500, watch what the Dow is doing. If it's moving up in numbers, like say the Dow Jones opens at 200 and then all of a sudden it starts going up 300 points and the S&P hasn't moved yet, you can assume that the S&P is going to follow the Dow. So it's a good, the Dow is a good indicator. And I don't really use indicators, but I'm just saying the Dow Jones is a good thing to watch if you're trading the S&P. So that's just a little trading tip. But these usually trade in the same direction. But you'll notice that the Dow will move in more points than the S&P. But the S&P, I really like trading this one. It's a little bit more stable. I just really like trading the S&P. All right, so that's the indexes, and let me move a little faster. And then what about the sectors? So there's different sectors. And actually, I'm going to go back to, we'll do it in two ways just to show you the differences. So the CNBC app, this is what they show. So these are the different sectors that you can invest in. So we're kind of narrowing down. First, we were at the big indexes. Now we're coming down to the sectors. So in sectors, you can do consumer discretionary, you can do energy, financials, healthcare, materials, real estate, technology. You can decide, hey, I want to invest in one of these industries. If you go to that ETFDB, you can actually see how many ETFs are like for each sector. So I'm going to pull it out. Like here, the sectors we just looked at. Look how many ETFs there are for each sector. There's like 37 that cover consumer discretionary, 90 that cover technology, 25 cover utilities, 60 different ETFs cover healthcare. So because of that, I told y'all I'm going to help you make it easy for yourself. So let me give you some of the ones that I like the most in these sectors, and it's called Sector Spider ETFs. So if you go to, I think that, did I put them up? Yep, here. If you go to sectorspdr.com, sectorspdr.com, it'll give you an ETF for each sector. So you see here, this one's for real estate, XLRE. XLF is for financials. XLV is covering healthcare. And then you can keep going around. If you want to do communications, and keep going around. Technology, remember it had 90 different ETFs following technology sector? Well, this one is called the XLK, which is pretty popular. And then you're able to click into it too, and then actually see what funds or what stocks are in there. So here, let me show you. Here are the different ones and like how they're performing. So you guys can come do some research here. Just go to sectorspdr.com. But let me show you how to also see what stocks are in each one of these ETFs. So you can click XLK. And then it'll actually show you down here when you press portfolio what the holdings are. So when we say you're investing in the whole technology sector, this is what you're actually investing in. You're investing in Apple, that's 21% of this fund. Microsoft is 20%, and then it goes down from there, but these are still significant. NVIDIA, Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, Intel, Adobe, Cisco, Salesforce. So those are like the biggest holdings in this XLK ETF. But this is a way for you to say, okay, Terry, I'm not quite ready yet to pick one stock, but I really do like technology. So how do I invest in that sector? Well, check out these Sector Spider ETFs. That's a good way to start. All right, y'all still there? So we're on step 2. We just said first step was what? Y'all put it in the chat. I kind of gave you I gave you a hint. The first step was opening a brokerage account. Second step, picking a company. And we suggested for those ultra beginners that haven't come to the class just yet, one company or good idea might be investing in an ETF for an index or investing in an ETF for a sector. Okay? So we're getting there. Now, the last step, y'all, I'm like literally teaching you how to get started as an investor. So this, like, you know what my challenge after this, actually, I told you I didn't have like a real good call to action after this, but my challenge is going to be, I want you guys to go and do these steps. Like by next week, go open an account. I'll tell you the truth, it takes about 2 weeks. If you pick one of the more robust brokerage accounts, it can take from 2 days to 2 weeks to get it open. So it might take a minute, but go open an account and then try even just buying one share of one of the indexes or ETFs that we just said. I mean, and like I said, I can't tell you what to do, but I would challenge you, like, if you really are serious about getting started, get started. Okay, so now the last step of how to get started in the stock market is that you have to place your trade. And let's see if my trade station is up now. Let me stop sharing for a second and make sure it's up. Okay, and are you guys seeing me? I think you guys are seeing me now, right? Okay, good. All right. And are y'all with me? Y'all ready? Like y'all, hopefully today you are ready. to start getting started. At least you're good. Thank you. Thank you, Sandra. Sandra's like, this is gravy. Ooh, and let me get my charger real quick. So let me share my screen. I'm going to just show you what the inside of TradeStation looks like. And while you're looking at it, and just kind of get the lay of the land. You don't have to like look real deep, but I just want you to kind of like look at the buttons, look at the matrix, and then let me get my little plug. And I apologize, guys. Usually I have it right there with me, but I want to make sure this doesn't. Oh man. I hope this thing does not die on us. But I don't see where my charger is. Oh goodness. Well, let me go until we can stop, and then if it breaks, I'll just like let you guys know or send something else out. I really apologize. Usually this doesn't happen to me on a webinar. But whew, I don't know where it is. Okay. So now we're gonna actually just place a trade. And we're gonna make this super easy. But at the top here, what you would do is you would put in the symbol. Let's do one share of the S&P. So the S&P would be your ticker. You'd have to put in the ticker for it. So the SPY is the ticker we said that followed the whole S&P. Then you'd put in your quantity. Now I can't breathe. Y'all need to work out. Then there's the order type. And this is where I want you guys to make sure that you're always, let me put it for good till cancel so it'll brighten up. So in order type, I want to make sure you're always putting in a limit order instead of just doing a market order, because a limit order will actually make sure that you are getting in at the price that you want instead of what the market tells you. And if we want to see like what this is going for right now, what we would do is open up a watch list, which would be our radar screen page. And then we could put the ticker symbol in here. So SPY. And every broker is going to be a little different. But we could also put in DIA. This is just going to be our watch list to see what the price of the stock is. And then we could even put in QQQ. Now we followed the whole index. So here, SPY was going for $415.87. And usually it's just 2 decimals away from what the actual S&P is going for. So here, if we wanted, let's switch back to the S&P. If we want to trade the S&P, we could put a limit order for what this price is, or even a little lower at 400 and I'm gonna put $414.99. I always like getting a better price, and the stock market is not like a grocery store where you have to buy at whatever price they say. It's a negotiation. So me as a buyer, I can put in a lower price, and oftentimes I'm going to get my price. So just know that you can put in a lower price. And then for us, it's after the after hours. So we'd go in and put GTC good till canceled. You don't have to change anything else. And then you'd press buy. And then it's going to say, you're doing this after market hours. That's okay. The total cost of this, my quantity size. Let me change that. Up here where it says quantity, I told you guys to just buy one, so I'm going to change it to 1. But you could buy more if you could afford more. And then you'd press buy. It's always good to check that little thing. There we go. Now it's like, okay, you're buying 1 share at this price. I'm looking at how much I'm going to have to spend. It's going to cost me $414.99. Am I okay with that? Yes. So I press yes. And now it's in the computer. And what will happen is when the market opens tomorrow, it'll actually execute the trade. So I can go to Sales Manager. And you know what? You guys will see some other things I have in my... I'm going to go over to the Sales Manager or Trade Manager. We'll actually see the stock in our queue. So now you see it where it says Trade Manager and Orders. And you can set this screen up however you want to see it. I just set it up for like brand new person. I have some other workspaces that are a little more robust. As a trader, I'm a technical analysis trader, so I got charts and different things, but I don't want to overwhelm you today. So here, now you can see that that's in the computer. The SPY, I'm going to buy 1 share, and then tomorrow, this is how much it'll cost, but tomorrow it'll actually, if it gets filled, it'll execute and it'll show up here. And then what we'll do is, let me look at some current positions that I have here in the sim. So I have some options positions here. Let me see if I have a stock. All right, let's look at this one. So Tilray, I guess I had, or no, let's look at this one. Check out this NVIDIA. I know this is hard to see. Let me see if I can open it up a little bit. So if you look right here, some of them I'm making money and some of them I'm losing money, and that's okay. In trading, there are going to be some that you're winning and some that you're losing. That's okay. The bigger concern is over here in this column that says open P&L. If you look down where it says how much I'm making, so on this trade, I'm up 7,200. I'm down 2,000 on this one. Hey, sometimes you're not going to make it. I'm up 13,000 on this one and then down 875 on this one. So my total profit right now is 18,000. So what if we said, you know what? I've reached my goal with NVIDIA. I'm making 13,000 here. And one of my goals is maybe you needed $10,000 to pay off some debt. So you can click into this trade and now it'll tell you to close it. That's how you're going to make your money. So I'm going to close this position. So close this NVIDIA position. And if I just did send now, then it would do a market order and get me out at whatever price is current price. But I told you guys I like using limit orders. So I'm going to come down here to customize at trade bar. So it came up here to my trading bar. And now I'm going to put in what I want to sell for. So I'm in NVIDIA 100 shares. I'm going to do, let me do good till canceled. Good till cancel just means the order will sit in the computer until it's executed, which is helpful for us because we're trading after hours. So I'm going to come in here, order type limit, and then I'm going to put in the price that I want to sell. Right now, NVIDIA is at 506, and you can see, I got in at 506, and it's currently, the last price is $644. So that's how I made the money. I had 100 shares that I bought at 506. It went up $144 per share. I had 100 of them. So you do 144 times 100. That's how I'm making almost $14,000. Okay. So I'm going to sell limit price 466. And somebody might say, Terry, why are you putting in the same price? Why do you even have to do that? Because once again, if you put in a market order Instead of a limit, it can give you any price to exit. So I want you guys to make sure you're getting the best price. So you're going to do limit and put in a price, and then you'll press sell. And tomorrow when this executes, I'll have $13,000, $13,775, almost $14,000 that I can now go use for whatever I want. And it's really simple. I'm going to stop sharing now. But what would happen is that money would then go into your bank account. And then you can do like a balance transfer, just like if you were moving from your savings to your checking. You would just move that money over to your regular bank account, and then you can use it. Like that's 14,000. When I was assistant principal, I only made like 4,000 a month. So that would have carried me a good 3 months just with that one trade alone. And then those other ones, until I sell, I can still let them kind of work their way and do their thing until they either go up or until I'm ready to sell them. So does that make sense? Like that's literally how to get started in the stock market. And I'll tell you the truth, what I just taught you with the index funds and the ETFs, you'll probably make about, like the average for the market is like an 8 to 10% return per year. You can also, because those are stocks though, you can trade them, and that's when you'll start making a bigger return. And like that's what I teach in Trade and Travel. So how would you trade these things, like getting in and out of them on a regular basis to make a 10 to 20% return per month? So that's what we do in Trade and Travel, but at least this will get you started. So y'all put in the chat, and I'm so sorry my computer's about to die. Usually I would take like a ton of more questions, but did this help? Just let me know in the chat, was this helpful? And of the things that I taught today, like what was something that you like learned? Oh yeah, I didn't realize this, or this nugget. Oh, good. I'm seeing a lot of this is great. Oh, good. Thank you, Ronell. He's like, I see how real Terry is. Dang, you know what's so sad though? Is like, I wish I had my charger. And I have a feeling it's like in the car. And I'm going to be so mad that I just didn't bring it inside the house. Good. Good. So I'm glad you guys, it looks like you guys, at least hopefully, I'm seeing a lot of yeses, definitely very helpful. So hopefully this took some of the fear away. And of course, like I said, once you get this part, it's like, okay, I opened my account, I bought my first share. And many of you guys have done that. Like you've done that step. Then the next thing is like, okay, well, how do I make a higher return? And that's where I come in and say, okay, this is the stocks that you pick. And this is what we do in Trade and Travel, but it's like, this is the stocks that you're going to look for in order to make a higher return. This is how you're going to do your risk management. Remember how we put in the limit order, where there's other order types you can use to protect yourself. This is what you're going to do, looking at charts to know when to get in and out of the stock. Like we sold in NVIDIA, but we kind of just picked the price today. But you could look at a chart and say, is this the right time to sell, or will it keep going up? Or you could, or when we got into the S&P, we could have looked at a chart to say, what price should we have really put in? I put in $414.99 just because I wanted it to be a little better than current price. But if I had looked at a chart, I could actually say, you know what? I think it's going to come back down to 387. And when it gets to 387, it's going to hit there and bounce back up. So we're going to put our order in at 387. Like we can do that with charts. So like that's what the next step would be. And that's what you would learn in Trade and Travel. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys at least are like, whew, that makes sense about investing. I can breathe. And then let me see, this thing is going to go out at some point. And when it does, I appreciate you guys for coming in. But until then, let me see if I can answer some questions. And then I see some people asking, okay, good. Some people were like, it was good to see the websites, good to visualize, good. If you did want to get into the course, it's investwithterry.com. That's Trade and Travel course. My name is Terri. So y'all can go there, Invest with Terry. Okay, good. So Danielle says, basically the question is, I'm gonna tailor it a little bit because she sent it to me private, but how much do you need to get started? The TradeStation app that I just showed you, you can actually, there's an app on your cell phone. And then what I showed you was the desktop version. The app on your cell phone is even easier to use. You can open that account with $500 and then use the simulator. And that's what I was showing you guys today. It's just like the regular thing, but it's with paper money. So you guys can do that with just $500. When you're really starting to trade more actively, I suggest having about $1,000 to $2,000. At 2,000, that's when that margin account starts kicking in, and you can trade more. Like you can just trade more often when you have that buying power, because you don't have to wait. If you have 2,000 and you have just a couple shares, it might tie up a lot of your money. But if you're have that margin, you can be in several trades and kind of rotate them without having to stop as often. Good, Katie. I'm so glad. She says, yes, very helpful. This relieves my sense of fear. And that's why I wanted to do this. Like for Financial Literacy Month, I asked my team, like, what can I do? I want to do something. And so this was the first step. Good. Okay, so Lolita says, how long to hold? Let's join us next week when I do the How to Make $1,000 a Day webinar. It's free too, and it's same time. Because we look at charts to figure out how long to hold it. You're going to look at a chart to see where the big banks like Morgan Stanley are trading and where they're selling, or where they're buying and where they're selling. And then you're going to hold it as long as you need to for it to get from one place to the other. That could be a day. It could be 3 days. It could be a week. So it's really about the charts. I love that. Elma says, Terry, you make it sound so easy. But it really isn't that tough. It really isn't that tough. But I do think it's important to have the right teacher, because I've been trading 11 years now. The first 6 years I was trying to teach myself and it wasn't working. So it wasn't until I started taking classes and I started practicing that I even got really good and came up with my strategy. So it's much easier when you have a teacher or a mentor. Christine says, do you teach options? Yes, in the VIP program. So the whole class is called VIP Trade and Travel. It's 8 weeks. And we go from basically what I talked about today, picking good companies. Well, not our webinar, but picking good companies, risk management, technical analysis. Then we do shorting. So that's how to make money when the market is falling. We talk about gaps in Globex trading, and we do options. That's the 8-week VIP program. And if you want to start with just the first half of that, you can. And the whole thing, just so y'all know, there's no secrets around here. The whole thing is $5,000, and then the first half is $2,500. And when you want to upgrade, you just pay the difference. So you just pay the extra $2,500 later if you want to upgrade. I guess since you guys are on here, though, I will give you a coupon. So if you put in life skills, here, let's put that in here. So if you put in life skills on the VIP program, promo code, it'll take $500 off the course. So for those that are interested, go to Invest with Terry, but scroll to the bottom and do the VIP. And put in promo code life skills, and it'll take $500 off. So that's a blessing. All right. Any other questions? Good question. So Elmira says, should we open the account and do it on ourselves before we join Trade and Travel? Honestly, I think it'll be a lot easier for you if you join Trade and Travel first, because then you have my coaches, you have myself, you have all of the students. We've had over 6,000 students that I've taught how to trade, and we're all in a Facebook group community together. So anytime you have a question, you'll be able to ask them. And our community is so supportive and helpful and friendly. So I think it's better to just join Trade and Travel first, and then part of that is going to be opening your account. So honestly, to answer your question, I would say join the class, and it'll be helpful for you. Yeah, Wendy, Trade and Travel is tough. Is a more robust platform. Even what I was showing you today, hopefully that kind of showed you some of the buttons to press, but Trade and Travel is a bit more tough. that's another good reason why it's good to be in the class, because then like you'll get to see my videos and see we have like a whole section on how to do TradeStation, how do you do a watch list in it, how do you do so that will help. Mm-hmm. um Good question, B. B says, am I planning to stay with TradeStation? I remember in an interview that you said you no longer had a relationship. You know what, B? I sent so many people to them. They backpedaled a little bit. And I still don't have like a relationship. Like I'm not making any money when I refer people there, but they held those benefits for my students. And that was what was important to me. The only thing is that the options trades used to be 20% cheaper. So they used to be 48 cents for us because they were like using a percentage of it to pay back the tuition. They're not doing that anymore. Options trades are 60 cents, but they still are waiving the data fee, waiving software fees, and waiving any equity fees so that we're trading stocks for free. So they've maintained those, and that's why I still think it's a good choice. In the future, I might switch it up, but if y'all know some good connections that I hear a lot about, like TD Ameritrade and other places, let me know. But but for now, I still like them. Awesome. Thank you. I'm seeing some people say can't wait for the next webinar. Oh, here, I'll put this on a broadcast. The website for the course, investwithterry.com. Okay, so Marilyn says, can you see step 3 again? And Marilyn, there will be a recording of this. It should be sent to your email. So that's one of the reasons why it's good that you registered, because you'll get a recording. And then Jamie says, should we be doing this first trade in the simulator? I encourage you. Yeah, you can do it in the sim. Until you actually get into the class and start really learning when to get in and out of a stock or trade, it might be good to do it in the sim. Yes, Shirley, you can rewatch this. Good. I'm glad most people, it looks like this has been helpful. Jennifer says, how often do I teach? In the course, it's all in videos and recorded, so you can do it at your own pace. And then weekly, we have a live Q&A and coaching calls. And for the VIPs, they have 2. They have a coaching call on Tuesdays, and they have a study group on Saturdays. So, and then the trade and travel students, the first half, the standard students, the ones in the first 4 weeks, they have one on Wednesday. Yep. So, Rolanda, I hope that answered your question as well. Okay, Talisha says, what are the tax implications? What they do is at the end of the year, the brokerage company will send you a, I think it's a 1099, but don't, like, I'm not a CPA, so I might have my letters and numbers mixed up, but they'll send you the paperwork and you just add that to your income, just like a side hustle. If you had a side hustle or got a bonus at work, you just add that to your income, and then your tax rate will be based on that. So it can be helpful if you have a loss. It can go against your income so that you can pay less, or if you have a gain, it'll just be part of your income. So it's really not, I'm not sure what caused so many people to be worried about the tax implications, but it's really not that different than just having a side hustle or another job. I answered that question. Oh, thank you, Sandra. She says, this teaching makes me want to start your course now. Yeah, girl. Y'all let me know if you actually do sign up for the course so I can shout you out. Hopefully before the battery dies. Uh-oh. It's got the little red blinking thing, so let me just stop. So thank you guys so much for coming to the class tonight. I hope you learned something from the webinar. Please join us next week, and you don't have to re-sign up. It'll send you a reminder about it. But next week, next Thursday, I'll do the How to Make $1,000 a Day webinar, and we'll cover even more on like what about trading and what you need to know for becoming an active investor. Stuttering, but what you need to know to become an active trading investor. And thank you guys once again for coming. I hope to see you in the course soon. And yeah, and if you do have questions that I didn't get to, I'll try to look at the questions as well, and we can respond to you in another way. Or send us a DM on Instagram. Terry Gioma is my IG. Send us a DM there as well, and we can get your questions answered. All right. Elma says, does the coupon expire? Not yet, but move fast so you can get that $500 off. Promo code Life Skills. Okay, guys. All right, let me go before this drops out. Have a great day. I'll talk to you later.